Alright everyone, happy Sunday and welcome back again to more Misericorde Volume 2, White Wool and Snow. I honestly feel like we're close to reaching the end, guys. It's only a matter of time before we're hit with something big, possibly another reveal for this particular installment of the game. I'm gonna miss it though. I really am, just because I can't wait for the third one to come out and so we can complete the whole trilogy at long last and see what's really going on. But otherwise, guys, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next, and I hope you are too. So if anything else, hope you all continue to enjoy. Thank you again for the love and support. And here we go. People had a habit of bumping into me at the right time after all. Unfortunately, I would have no such luck today. It was still raining and there was nobody in the garden. I sighed. There was no use getting drenched unless I had to. I turned back toward the cloister. As I paced up the gravel path, a puddle caught my eye. Oh. An idea struck me. I had a good idea of where she might be. The rain kept coming. I pounded on the door to the superior's office once again, hoping that I wouldn't bother her. I had a strong suspicion that Eustace was out fishing, but there was no way I was going to walk there in this weather without one of those thick cloaks the others had begun to wear. Raindrops felt good against my skin, but soggy clothes did not. What is it? Oh, Sister Hedwig. Sister Angela was just here. She said you were busy. Did you need something? Nothing important, but... well, the rain has been getting awfully heavy lately. I was hoping I could be spared one of the traveling cloaks the others are wearing. You weren't provided a heavy cloak? Goodness, how embarrassing. One moment. I should have a spare. The bishop was still here, leaning against the superior's desk. He smiled warmly at me. It didn't work, however. I felt annoyed. What did he do all day exactly? I immediately felt ashamed for being so judgmental, however, and quickly returned his smile. Let us see. I usually keep one or two at the bottom of the wardrobe just in case somebody damages or loses theirs. She opened a large cabinet and set against the wall. Perhaps I spoke too soon. Oh dear. How odd. I could have sworn I had one. You are certain there isn't one in your new room? It should have been folded up underneath the bed. I'm quite sure. How queer. I gave Darcy very specific instructions in preparing your room. Well, if you need one right this moment, I suppose you might borrow mine. She retrieved the single cloak that was hanging in the wardrobe and handed it to me. Oh, no, I couldn't possibly. Nonsense. I don't plan on stepping out into that nasty weather for very long if I can help it. Just take good care of it. Of course. Thank you, Your Reverence. My eyes darted toward the bishop. You have a deep well of kindness, Mabel. I do what I can. I slipped the heavy fabric over my shoulders and fastened the clasp around my neck. The sensation was immediately overwhelming, snug, warm, perhaps even a little stifling for the indoor air. Is there anything else? Do you have anything new to report about your investigation? Oh, actually, there is one thing. Did you wind up giving Angela a key for the sacristy? That's my next port of call. No, Eustace is just the one. Really? Goodness me, that seems rather irresponsible. She insisted there should only be a single key. Our collection is too valuable to leave multiple keys lying around, or so she says. Oh, she thinks she's so clever. I was reminded of Flora's story about sneaking into the superior's office and found myself agreeing with Eustace. On principle, at least. Not to worry then, I shall simply ask Eustace for help. That had been my plan in the first place. I was grateful for the new tidbit of information, however. I was beginning to feel more and more confident in my suspicions. I don't have anything to report in that case. I may have just had something conclusive soon, however. I was nursing a desire for approval, and a part of me wanted to spill everything to the superior right away. But if I was wrong about Eustace's books, I'd look utterly mad, no matter how suspect the rest of her behavior was. Not to mention the fact that I might need to explain what had happened to me and Angela in the library, which might destroy whatever shred of credibility I was holding on to. Why so mercurial? Oh, no reason. I just don't want to promise anything too grand before I can deliver. Suit yourself. Have a good evening, Hedwig. I nodded my head and took my leave. I started toward the path to Eustace's secluded fishing spot, getting used to the moving in the superior's cloak. When I stepped into the rain, I noticed the difference immediately. The thick fabric absorbed the beating raindrops effortlessly. It was a very strange sensation. As I made my way down the path toward the outer wall, however, I became more uncomfortable than I had been sans cloak. My clothes have been soaked through already today, and the traveling cloak trapped the soggy loose fabric in a way that felt awful as I moved. When I made it to the stone passageway, I paused for a moment to adjust my clothes. I did my best to peel the wet fabric off my skin and fluff it a little, hoping that it would sit a little more comfortably under the cloak with a little fiddling. Alas, it was easier said than done. As I leaned against the wall for balance while rearranging my robe, a glint of metal caught my eye. Why was the sword here? I bent down to retrieve it. Once again, I marveled at how natural it felt in my hands. I turned the blade over to inspect it. Sure enough, there was Hebrew engraving. Why had it been deposited so unceremoniously out here? Keeping good care of the sword was Eustace's job, as she had complained about so many times before. More evidence of her strange behavior, I thought. I decided to carry it with me. It was her responsibility in the first place. Plus, I would feel a degree of satisfaction asking her why she had left it to rust in the rain after Catherine's wake. I could demand the sacristy key. They could kill her. I don't know, man. I just don't like her. She would have no choice but to give me the key. The sword must be returned to that room for safekeeping. Eustace would be in a real bind, wouldn't she? She would have to give me the key or let me into the room. I held the sword. The alternative was showing superior to the neglected blade. See how wet it is. What if it had been damaged by the elements, rusted? In failing those scenarios, what if Eustace resisted me? A surge of anxious energy passed through me as I navigated off the path into the trail Eustace's fishing spot. She might panic when I asked her for the key, I thought. Or, if she truly had something to hide, she might attack me. Well, in that case, I would defend myself bravely. I hiked a few branches along the path to practice my swing. When I finally reached the log I had to clamber over twice before, I gave it a good slicing down the middle. Nothing could slow me down now. I hacked the rotten log in twain with a few more hits, and the path opened up to me. I jogged ahead. I was beginning to feel excited. I was so close to finding Eustace. I was so close to freedom. I was so consumed by the idea of catching Eustace in her lies that I ceased worrying about the beast that had attacked me in Flora, or the magic circle, or the strange event in the library. Those things followed this thing. The head counted far more than the limbs. If Eustace was forced to tell me the truth about what she was up to, if she was made to admit that she had something to do with Catherine's death, everything else might follow. I practically pranced the rest of the way to the riverbank. Alas, my giddiness was all for nothing. There was nobody else here. I had been wrong. I surveyed my surroundings. In retrospect, it should have been obvious. Fishing? In this weather? How stupid was I? Well, I mean, you found the sword, so there is some silver lining to why you went to where, you thought Eustace would be. I let out a howl of frustration so loud I surprised myself. Even with the tree cover, sitting in the damp grass for hours on end, it would have been miserable. I had imagined Eustace slinking out into the woods to contemplate her nefarious schemes, huddled in the rain, beating fish against her bucket to calm herself. It made perfect sense in my mind. But here I was, a lone fool, drenched to the bone. I'd had enough. I was humiliated and uncomfortable. I felt hot and clammy all over. I had enough of my sun and clothes. Oh God, are you gonna get naked again? In a fury, I flung the sword to the ground and began to tear my garments off. I let the cloak fall to the ground and yanked my robes over my head, balling them into a squishy heap on the ground. Enough. It was colder this way, but at the very least I was free from the awful sensation of soaked fabric steaming underneath my thick cloak. I held my arms aloft, inviting the raindrops to cool me down. Slowly but surely, the oppressive, sticky sensation my damp clothes had imbued with me was replaced with a cold but crisp sense of comfort. Frustrated? Everyone heard that bellow, I'm sure. Leave me alone. We are alone. For now. Someone will come looking eventually. We should enjoy ourselves while we can. Nobody knows where I am. Eustace might guess. Then let her come. I was looking for her anyway. And let her find you like this? Be quiet. She chuckled, and then picked up the sword and examined it idly. What are you doing? Just looking. Looking at what? Nothing. Goodness, you are paranoid. I glowered and sat down in the tall grass. I just need some time to collect myself. By all means. I laid down and shut my eyes, exhaling deeply. The rain pelted my body, massaging me, relaxing me. What did I come looking for again? I opened my eyes. Hello? What are you doing? The same thing you are. Nonsense. You tricked me. You wanted to get me out here alone. Pulled me here with your infernal line. She did not respond but leaned down to kiss my forehead. Stop that. Stop what? She picked up the sword again. What does it say, do you think? I can't read Hebrew. Isn't that a shame? That seems like it'd be useful in your line of work. You're right. I wouldn't even be able to read the Septuagint. How many layers separate you from the gospel truth, I wonder? I don't like to think about that. That's quite alright. I think about it for you. I think about a lot of things for you. Oh? Is that why you pulled me around with the invisible thread of yours? Thread? What thread? I don't lead you anywhere. Not on purpose, at least. I just wander freely. If you feel compelled to follow me, that's on you, I'm afraid. I do not understand. There's a lot competing for our attention in your spirit. What happened to Catherine? What might happen to you? Will you see heaven? Why did you feel all funny when Catherine pulled you close? Stop it. Why do you feel funny when you look at Adela or Moira or Margaret? Stop it. Or Eustace. And why, oh why, do you feel it the most when you look at Angela? You're wrong, you know. Don't deny it. You're forgetting one. Am I? Oh, that's right. You feel it the strongest when you think about Catherine. Yes. You can never touch her, though. And you never will. So what would you call it, that feeling? Longing? I don't know. Gnawing, I suppose? Loss. Emptiness. Yes. She turned her sword over in her hands, examining the handle. This was Catherine's sword, was it not? Somebody said that in the Misericorde. The night Eustace pretended to be a ghost. Why? Catherine's sword. She ran her fingers over the pommel, deep in thought. We have some time to ourselves, don't we? Time enough, I'm sure. She traced her fingers down the handle, all the way past the crossguard. I'm carrying another thought for you. Oh, indeed. She guided my hands to the base of the blade. Ow! Hold the guard, you stupid woman. Just relax. I'll take care of things. What the hell? It was beginning to get dark when I finally rose to my feet again. The rain dissipated. I was shaky and unsure of my footing, but undeniably calm. My hands stung in the rain. I looked down at my palms and grimaced. I told you to be careful. She was washing the sword in the stream. Water's not good for metal, is it? So wait, is there a possibility that she has split personality? And that the other personality took over? For like a minute or whatever? To use the sword? I think? Blood is worse, I would think. Especially in leather. I blanched and turned away. I picked up my clothes, meaning to get dressed. They were unusable, however. I sighed and retrieved Superior's traveling cloak. This, at the very least, was still usable. I fastened it around my neck and pulled it close around my naked body, just as Angela had worn hers before. You did that on purpose. To what are you referring? Let your clothes get soaked. Oh no, now I have to walk all the way back wearing naught but a cloak. That is not true. Yes, it is. Want to know how I know? Because I thought it for you. Enough. She handed me the washed sword with an impish grin. The trek home was exhilarating, as she had insinuated, of course. I was cold, wet, and shivering, but I was happy. Happier than I had been relaxing on the riverbank, even. Why is it that you think? I don't know. Isn't that your job to think about? It's a puzzle even for me. You could lay with anyone you like here, surely. But you don't want that, do you? I do. I do sometimes. But I know it's wrong. Is it any more wrong than this? It's different. You don't want to ask? You're just abdicating responsibility. Giving is wrong, but being taken from, well, that's not on you, is it? I just like how the air feels against my skin. I'm sure you do. So do I, naturally. But it must be something more than that, surely. Must it? And is it so wrong? Surely there are far worse vices. I'm inclined to agree, but is it my blessing you need? You know what I think? I think it's even more than putting the burden on your onlookers. I think you want to be worshipped. Enough. Let me enjoy the walk in peace. Suit yourself. I walked the rest of the way home in silence, the sword in one hand, my clothes in the other. I let the cloak flap open, inviting the cold air to dry my skin somewhat. It was getting dark, but I could see the glint of torches ahead. As I approached the outer wall of the abbey, my thoughts returned. What if all those men saw you? What do you think might happen? I suppose they might see me. And then what? I know you've often imagined yourself under the acacia trees. I know you dream of Absalom. Perhaps they'd erect a tent just for you. I meant to argue, but I could not. I was distracted by a dark shadow looming above the abbey. At first, I thought it had been a rain cloud, but as I drew closer, I caught a familiar scent on the breeze. Smoke. I broke into a sprint without thinking. It was difficult to run with both arms occupied. I looked ridiculous, I'm sure. The traveling cloak billowed out behind me as I sprinted. I let out a growl of frustration as I passed into the walls of the abbey. This would not do. Even in an emergency, running around naked as anything was too much even for my addled mind. My clothes were still unusually wet. There was no other choice. I tossed the sword back into the grass I had found it in, then covered it hastily with a pile of laundry. Now, I could pull the traveling cloak around myself at the very least. I would come back for the evidence. Everyone would be distracted by the fire anyway. That was stupid. You should have brought the sword. I made my way toward the source of the smoke, following my nose. Felt terrible. Leaving Moira to her own devices had been selfish of me. I had no doubt in my mind that she had become overwhelmed by the intricacies of work and only Darcy could do. But as I passed through the cloister, I realized that the fire was not in the kitchen. It was coming from upstairs. Several men were rushing up the stairs carrying buckets. I pulled my cloak a little tighter around myself as they passed me. A horrid realization was building inside of me, and as I crested the final steps, my fears were confirmed. Hedwig! Oh, Hedwig, I'm so glad you're well! What happened? There's a fire in the library. I only just found out. I thought I was just smelling the stove until I heard men shouting and running. Another one of these men pushed past us as she said this. They've almost got it under control, I believe. The other sisters, the bishop and the superior, were all scattered about the second floor hallway. Most were leaning against the stone railings, looking concerned. Margaret and Catherine were pacing about, discussing something in the gravestones. Charity, Marta, Adela, Flora, and the newcomers were speaking with Angela, who looked apoplectic. Darcy and Eustace were nowhere to be seen. Did Darcy even return? No. She must be spending the night on the farm. Thank goodness. What about Eustace? Moira cast her eyes downward. I'm not sure. Oh no. I ran into the library, desperate to see what had happened. I could hear Moira and the superior shouting at me to stop, but I ignored them. Half a dozen of men were charging out of the room with empty buckets. Sister, get to safety! I'm looking for my friend. Well, not a friend as such. But I didn't have the time nor the wherewithal to explain the intricacies of my relationship with Eustace to a stranger. It's a complete and total mess in there, good sister. Stop dawdling. Buckets! How much you want to bet she's going to enter the secret room in the library? And Eustace is going to be there. The muscular man looked at me pleadingly before following the others out to refill their buckets. I coughed and forged ahead. The cloud of smoke was billowing about on the sacristy as I had dreaded. It was hard to see. It was hard to breathe. I struggled to keep my eyes open as I searched for signs of life or worse. Bits of burned paper were fluttering about in the air. The worst of the flames had been contained, it seemed, but there was a menacing pile of ember everywhere. Gnawed black debris was scattered throughout the room. The amount of refuse was unbelievable. Everything in here had been utterly destroyed. I coughed and hacked and wheezed as I scoured the area for any hint of Eustace. You mean to tell me she burned the evidence of the library on purpose? I feel like that was her cause. A pair of hands stopped me from falling face first into the smoldering of ash. The same man before I gripped my shoulders to steady me. It felt strange. I yanked myself free as forcefully as I could and wheeled around on him. Please get yourself to safety, good sister. We'll take care of the rest. I couldn't argue. I staggered out of the room and backed down to the landing. I coughed again and several people rushed forward to help me. Careful. Smoke is terrible for you. Steady, steady. I began to sob. There's nothing left. Yeah, it's a shame. I'm just glad everyone's safe. Oh, I was so worried. But everyone isn't safe. I had so many thoughts running through my head. With Eustace gone, any trails I had left to follow would go cold. I was able to enter the sacristy, but whatever had been hidden in there was long gone. Worse still, there was a sinister part of me that was relieved to be rid of her. How wicked a thought, but nonetheless it was an honest feeling. Without her breathing down my neck and with no way to pursue the mystery any further, perhaps I could live normally. Hedwig? What do you mean everyone's not safe? Have you not realized? Where's Eustace? Margaret grinned in a confused, almost condescending manner. You had me worried for a moment. She's right here, Hedwig. She pointed over her shoulder toward the stone railing. Oh goody, the evidence burner. Here came Eustace, alive and well. Oh, Hedwig. Glad to see you're well. That's everyone then, isn't it? It would seem so. But, Eustace, Why aren't you wearing anything, Hedwig? I didn't want to say anything. Why'd you have to go and ruin it, Eustace? It's code. I'm just concerned. Is that my cloak? I could have died right then and there. I was looking for you, Eustace. And, I slipped and fell into the stream. My clothes were soaked through. I had to walk back in just a cloak. So sorry, Superior. And then I saw the smoke and, well, I forgot myself with worry. Goodness, you've been in the wars. Are you sure you're feeling well? Why aren't you wearing anything? You two should get to bed. But, now. Alright. Keep your clothes on, lady. The teenager skulked away, Violet scratching her head all the way. Angela shot me a look before turning away to interrogate somebody else about the fire. The reality of the situation was beginning to set in. I was all but naked, surrounded by all my peers and betters. The bishop, who had been standing off on the side with the superior, was covering his eyes in shame. I was soaked and my breath was short, my feet were sore, I was covered in ash, and worst of all, I felt an overwhelming sense of guilt. Horrible as it is to admit, there had been a small part of me that had hoped an act of God had removed Eustace as an obstacle. But there she was, looking as stoic as ever. I was having a bad day. No kidding. Here you are. They only had cans. Hope that's alright. Huh? Oh, yeah, sure. I felt kind of strange all of a sudden. I remember blinking and flipping the pages of the book. Right, yeah, I was holding the book. I wasn't able to read much, though. Jet lag or something. Words stuck out to me as I skimmed, but none of them made sense. Nosy. You can borrow it if you like. Don't know if you have a telly in the room you're staying in. Not sure. Don't think so. There you are then. Branch out a bit. Try a genre you're not familiar with. I thought you needed this for work. It's work, but I'm in no rush. I'm here to get a little more hands-on with a different project anyway. I considered for a second, looking back down at the page I'd opened to. None of the words made sense. They felt like they were shifting in front of me. It gave me a headache. I really was jet-lagged and I wasn't interested in the premise anyway. Nah. I set the book back across the table. She smirked as she put it back in her bag. I didn't want to play games. I changed the subject. You mentioned location scouting on the plane. You making a movie out of this or something? She smiled and raised a finger to her lips. That's cool. I can write this off as a business meal. Do you ever stop working? She unfastened her handbag and retrieved her shiny pack of cigarettes, lighting one as she spoke. You into compensation theory? God, it's nice to hear someone say that instead of work-life balance. I'm sure it is. You might not like my answer though. I love working. My work is fun. I mean, I think structural functionalism is a fascinating field. And I suppose it's true that you want to give factory workers enough holidays that they don't strangle their wife and kids, but me? I always want to be working. Ever strangled anyone? Work's too fulfilling to even fantasize about it. Wish I could find a job like that. Where do you work? Nowhere right now. Explains the uniform. She waggled her cigarette at my baggy clothes. Jesus. Ah, too far? Do you like me or not? If I didn't like you, I wouldn't tease you. Sorry, I thought we were developing a good rapport, sorry. Sort of a buddy cop thing. Or, I don't know, something you wouldn't protest. Buddy. Co-op, grocery cashiers. Her above it all shtick was really starting to piss me off, but what really annoyed me was that she was funny. I was used to being the mean one in conversations. All I could do was scoff. Is this all off the dome, or is this your open mic material? Like I said, love, I'm always working. So, American, unemployed, perhaps unemployable, left wing in the sense that you really want people to know you're left wing. Punk aesthetics, but academic vocabulary when push comes to shove. I'm gonna guess your parents are wealthy, but not in academia. If that was the case, you'd probably read less. You'd never be able to keep up arguing with them, and you like feeling smarter. So let's say liberal. Do they work in entertainment? Your natural distaste for me might stem from that. I remind you of them. I don't have a distaste for you, but you're kind of weird and kind of mean. I don't even know your name. I buy you drinks though. We do have a rapport. Yeah, thanks. My name is Tatiana. Really? Really? That's more Russian than I was expecting. Now who's being mean? Maybe I'm a spy for the Reds. You'd like that, I imagine. Whatever. Anyway, you're wrong. Neither of my folks are in entertainment. I'm very close though, aren't I? Politics? God damn it. Yeah. Can I have a cig? Of course. Thanks. Yeah, my dad's a mayor. She laughed really hard at that one. The mayor's punk daughter. That's almost too good. I bet you're popular in the papers. God. Does he ever ask you to dress normal for reporters? Do you argue about Afghanistan and nuclear power over dinner? He's the mayor. He has no say in any of that shit. Answer the question. Well, yeah, all the time. Like, he's the mayor now, but what if he becomes a senator or the president? I'm always right. What's his number one policy? Huh? What did he run on? What won his campaign? Prison shit? Carceral state? Fear-mongering? Bull? So I was right. Liberal. Heh. Sure, yeah. Well, that paints an absolutely fascinating picture of you. But why are you here? Why Limbarrow? I was getting tired of the interrogation, but looking around the bar. Sorry, pub. I realized my options for conversation elsewhere on this trip were slim. You're the location scout. You know about the weird shit that went down here. She blew a large cloud of smoke out of her nostrils. Pretend I don't. Okay, sure. There's this abbey at the top of the hill here. You know, for medieval nuns. It burned down a long time ago. Nobody thought it was very important, you know? Like it was sad, but it's not like the Tower of London or whatever. It was just another abbey. But there's weird shit about it. Lots of conspiracies and stuff. Ghost stories. I'm familiar. Do go on. There's a whole bunch. I don't know, some of it's silly. I'm not like much of kooky theory type, you know? I just thought it was interesting and I wanted to get away from home for a while. Tell me the theories. Some people think there was a coup or something being planned there. Or that there was like a medieval terror cell there. Like they were gonna do something about the War of the Roses. I don't know, it sounds pretty stupid when I say it out loud. I never felt less confident in myself than I did explaining myself to this rich lady. Excuse me. I don't know, it had made sense to me up until now. Look, I had a big argument with my parents about my future. You know how it goes. I'm not into occult or supernatural shit really, but a TA in my English lit class put me onto this cool story about this weird abbey in England. A lot of weird stuff happened there. Murder, suspicious fires, etc, etc. He's been trying to write a paper or something about it, and was going to come do research. I needed a place to go clear my head and get away from my family for a while, and I thought, hey, good excuse to get out of the country. I'll go check out this weird old haunted building with a friend of mine. God, what was I doing? You and a friend are taking a gap year together. I get it. Fairly normal for rich girls. I'm not taking a gap year, and I'm not a rich girl. Who bought your plane ticket? Your parents? Nice of them to pay for your getaway. Why'd you come alone? Couldn't get on the same flight as this friend of yours? Look, it's supposed to be a surprise. She threw her head back and started cackling. Please God, I thought, get me out of this fucking pub. Oh, this is good. This is really, really special. This friend isn't a friend, is that right? You're in love with him, aren't you? You don't care about the Abbey at all. You're trying to impress him. I downed the rest of my can of cider. I don't want to talk about this. But it's so cute. What's he like? Aloof and cool, I'm guessing? But deep down, you know he really cares? Does he know you're into him? I wasn't going to play along anymore. I start to scowl and focus on my cig. Aw, you're upset. Nah, that's okay. You're still cranky from from your flight. Time zones are a bitch, aren't they? Someone else is being a bitch too, but I didn't want to start a fight. I made a show of glancing at the clock and stood up. Thanks for the cider and the cig. Sit back down for a moment. You'll want to hear this. I doubt it. As it happens, I've also been working on a book about the goings up at Limbarrow. She was right, unfortunately. I did want to hear that. I sighed and sat back down. So what's it about? The killings, of course. The mystery of it all. Well, yeah. But what's the angle? It'd be a bit difficult to explain all in one go. Would you like to borrow it? Huh? I have a copy in my bag. If you'd like to do a little light reading tonight. She produced a rather thick paperback from her bag. There was a photo, or maybe just an illustration of a rich-looking woman on the cover. None left alive. Chronicles of a Killer's Sister was embossed in the big bold text above her smiling face. Excuse me. Oh, it's a novel. I was expecting a textbook. Historical fiction is all the rage. Based on a true story, you know? Sure enough, that was emblazoned on the cover where I would have expected the author's name to be. Well, how accurate is it? It looks kind of over the top. Don't know. I haven't finished it yet. But it incorporates some interesting new evidence. Whoa. Okay then. What kind of evidence? You could read it and find out. Or, I could show you tomorrow. Huh? You're going out to the Abbey, I presume. I'll meet you there. Even better than a book, I'd wager. It was hard to argue as weird as she was. Okay. I pushed the novel back across the table. I want to see the real thing. She slid the novel back toward me. Keep it. I doubt you'll spoil it for yourself all in one night. It's rather long. I could skip to the end. I suppose you could. Will you? Dunno. She smiled. My guess is a no. I'll pick you up bright and early tomorrow, yeah? What? To see the Abbey? I already have plans. No, you don't. She said this with a wide smile. And as luck would have it, my work is taking me there too. That guy Jim is going to drive me up, I think. Of course he is. Well, in that case, I'll meet you up there. Whatever. She let go of my wrist and I left the pub to head back to Jim and Mary's. The door was unlocked when I got back, but all the lights were off. They must have been asleep already. Made sense they were owed. I kicked off my shoes and felt my way to the stairs in the dark. I swung my leg onto the bed and flopped onto it. The mattress was squeaky as shit and I felt bad. I didn't want to wake Jim and his wife up. I stared at the ceiling for a few minutes. I was tired for sure, but I couldn't sleep just yet. I turned the bedside lamp on to check the book the lady had insisted I borrow. I opened the book to the first page. No publishing info or anything like that. That made sense, I guess. It was an advanced copy. There was something there, though. Don't. Bit creepy. I shook it off, though. I figured it was just a fragment of a note she'd typed for herself. Don't forget to do something editor-y, you know? Some shit like that. I was just on the edge. Imagine how professorial that book was. Don't read any further, right? Imagine. And all of a sudden, oh no, something terrible happens because you know what happens next. Then I turned to the table of contents. Don't. Every chapter was titled Don't. That was pretty weird. And she said this was based on a true story. I was freaked the fuck out, but I couldn't resist turning the page again. Empty. I skimmed through the whole thing. There wasn't a single word printed in the whole book other than don't. It was so weird that I couldn't get all the way through it. I snapped the book shut and sat on the bedside table. I was too tired for this shit. I closed my eyes and zonked out. When I woke up, the first thing I did was check the novel again. Still blank. Fucking weird. Had I imagined all that don't stuff? I rolled out of bed and put my clothes from the previous night back on. I'd only worn them for a few hours. Plus, looking at my suitcase made me realize that I had probably packed a little light. I could hear voices downstairs. After glancing at the empty book one last time, I walked down to the kitchen. So the words don't aren't there anymore? That is so eerie. Jim and Mary were seated for breakfast chatting pleasantly. Here she is. Toast? Yeah, actually. Thanks. He smiled and picked a piece of crispy white bread off a large pile on the kitchen table. Butter? Absolutely. Marmalade? You know what? Sure. I never had marmalade before. No marmalade? Yeah. Not really a thing stateside. You hear that, Mary? Cancel our holiday. Mary chuckled as she scrapped a generous helping of orange goop onto my toast. As if we'll ever have an overseas holiday. She handed me the plate and I bit into the toast hungrily. Mmm. Wow, that is good. No marmalade. Might as well not have in my country. On that, we can definitely agree. What's that? I swallowed my food. On that, we can definitely agree. Oh. You don't like America? Of course she doesn't, Mary. She's a punk, isn't that right? Yeah. Probably doesn't like the Queen either. Talked about that in the car, funnily enough. Mary looked upset. Oh, James, you said she wasn't one of your little schemers. Don't know what you're talking about, love. She's just a traveler who happens to have a loud taste in music and politics, isn't that right? Never met this guy before, I promise. Oh, me. Only you can make me want to believe that you just happened to pick up a teenager in your car. Don't make me sound like some prevert, Lord above woman. I'm only saying you probably look quite strange inviting her into your car. It was her friend that suggested it. I have an airtight character witness. Besides, I have another alibi. Oh? Short hair does nothing for me. Mary slapped her husband on the shoulder playfully and he laughed dryly. Watch it. So then, Alex, you want to lift up to the Abbey, yeah? If you wouldn't mind, yeah. Mary gave me an oddly serious look. I'm here to explore the ruins. Fascinating bit of history, that Abbey. Macabre, more like. You should be careful up there. A lot of shady types go at night and get up to no good. It's just kids, Mary. It's just a good spot to have a bit of fun away from prying eyes. You were young once, hard as it is to believe. Another playful slap on the shoulder. How long are you planning to stay up there? Not sure. A while, probably. I want to take some pictures. Alright then. How about I drop you up there after breakfast and then come collect you around real tea time? I've got to run some errands today and I'd rather like to do some gardening, so I can't stay with you. Works for me. I finished my toast and ran back upstairs to grab my jacket and my camera. When I headed back downstairs, Jim was already waiting by the door. Ready? Yep. Bye, Mary. Bye-bye. It was so beautiful outside that I had to stop for a second to admire the view and take in the crisp morning air. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? I can't believe people live here. Feels like something out of a kid's book. You get used to it, but not that used to it. Still blows me away sometimes too. Go on, get in. The top of the mountain will be even more impressive. I hopped into the front seat of Jim's car once again. Right then, off we go. Driving through the narrow streets of the village was kind of scary. City driving was bad enough in the States, but none of the roads here were straight and all of them were crazy fucking narrow. Eventually, we made it out to town. We drove past a large farm at the base of the hill, and the road began to get steeper. The hill was like a big wall of green. It was breathtaking, but the drive didn't get any more relaxing. The road was only wide enough for one car, which led to several sudden swerves to allow other drivers to buzz past us. How the hell do you decide whether to get away or keep going? Dunno, instinct mostly. Do you want me to slow down? Nah, I guess you've got it under control. Just takes some getting used to. Doesn't faze me at all, I barely notice. Driving jeeps was a lot more dangerous, I can tell you that. I imagine throwing a grenade into one of the passing cars. After 20, maybe 30 minutes, the road turned into gravel. Things got really bumpy for a while. Then finally, I saw stone ruins up ahead. Here we are. Lynbarrow Abbey, or what's left of it. There were a few cars parked in the gravel lot. I could see really weathered plaque near the ruins too. Jim stopped the car and drummed on the steering wheel. Right then. I'll pick you up back here a little after dark, huh? Sounds perfect. Thanks a lot, man. Not at all. Not at all. Oh look, your friend's here. God fucking damn it. I've been kinda hoping she wouldn't show up. She was walking straight towards us with a huge grin on her face. A black turtleneck and khaki riding pants made her look kinda like a stormtrooper. I wondered if Jim would say anything, but he was perfectly polite. I stepped out of the car and able to escape. Hello. Hi. Fancy meeting you here. What are the odds? Oh, quite good this time. We chatted about meeting up here in the pub last night. Well, you two have a nice day, huh? I've gotta run. Things to do. Of course, don't let us keep you. Yeah, thanks again. Jim gave a salute as I closed the door, and the car rumbled away over the gravel. Brought a camera, did you? That's fantastic. I could do with some new shots. I need another author photo. You're an author now. Sometimes. For real? Or is this like a ghostwriter thing? I do have several collaborators. Do you know anything about 15th century metallurgy? Huh? No. Why would I? I don't know. People take all sorts of useless classes at university. Never mind. Shall I give you the grand tour? I couldn't believe I was stuck with her. I'd flown so far to see this. She was oblivious to how annoyed I was, though. I bet you she isn't. She swung around her heel and marched right toward the plaque in front of what looked like a ruined archway. Welcome to Limbarrow Abbey. I'm something of an expert, if you can believe it. You already know all about what the plaques say, I'm sure. Built in the 1300s, served the community until it tragically burned down in 1484. Some say it's haunted. They still age award-winning wine here, graciously open to the public. Blah, blah, blah. Bit of a silly thing to put on a plaque like this, but I suppose that's tourism for you. Well, yeah. I know all that, obviously. The blah, blah, blah is why I'm here, though. She kissed her teeth. You're interested in the haunting bit too, though. Duh. That's not all, though. I mean, I'm interested in the ghosts for real reasons, not just like because I think ghosts are cool. I don't think that really. So it's a special ghost, and you're definitely interested in it for reasons beyond trying to impress a boy. Oh my god, you're not gonna let that go? It's important. I just need to be sure. Sure about what? That I can trust you with something interesting. Okay. Fuck it, sure. I'm related to one of the sisters. It was built in the 1300s. Narrow it down for me. This would be going way back, obviously, but this teacher aide I'm meeting here who got me interested in this stuff, he helped me dig through my family tree. And it turns out I'm a way distant relative of one of the later period nuns. I'm on the edge of my seat. Do you know anything about a Sister Catherine? The corners of her mouth twitched and stretched into a creepy smile. Oh no! Oh no! Of course! What Limbarrow scholar doesn't? She was quite a character. You think you're related to her? I don't know, maybe. My friend's piecing together some family tree stuff about some of the nuns here. She died though, quite tragically if the stories are to be believed. Maybe she didn't. That's the theory my friend's been working on anyway. So you reckon your sister Catherine's great... Oh, I can now work generations out of my head. Come with me. She passed under the ruins of the archway, beckoning me to follow. There wasn't much left of the place. The gravel path took us past square plots of stone. I assumed these were whatever was left of the building's foundation. A few chunks of wall covered in moss were still standing. Some pillars still stood, and most impressively, a few intact buildings' facades. A couple of tourists stood in the cloister lawn, snapping photos. Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, not much left though. 500 years is a very long time, even for buildings that didn't catch fire. Oh yeah, I didn't mean to ask about that. Wasn't it made of stone? How did it burn down? She let out a condescending laugh. Stone buildings can still burn down, love. There was plenty of wooden framing, and mortar can catch fire. At that point, being made of stone is a bit of a liability. There isn't much holding it together. Yeesh. I took a few photos of the ruins. Looking for anything in particular while you're here? Well, yeah. That friend. Right you are.